Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and hopefully, if all goes according to plan and all that good stuff, I will be continuing to review this TV show. And as you can tell by the title, this TV show is entitled Twenties. It is a Lena Waithe TV show that actually is on BET. The first two episodes premiered last week, and I'm finally getting around to reviewing it. But yeah, they split it into two parts, the first and the second episode. So, just in case you don't know what this TV show is about, let me tell you. So, it is a TV show that is surrounding the lives of these young black women who are best friends. The main character, who, I mean, I guess I feel as though she's basically the main character. Her name is Hattie, and she is gay or whatever she wants to identify as because she likes only women, to my knowledge, who is an aspiring writer, and she's down on her luck. She doesn't have anything going on and all that. And like I said, she has two best friends. The two of them just so happen to be straight. So anyway, let me go on ahead and get into what happened on this episode. So on this episode, it starts out showing the lead character, Hattie, engaging in sexual acts with this woman who we later on find out is just someone who is, into, being in the moment. And her best friends have even read her and they're like, girl, why don't you just find you another lesbian or whatever? Because every time we look up, you get with somebody who is straight. Like, what is it with you and with all these straight women? And so she's like, no, there's a such thing as being sexually fluid and being in certain stages in your life. And they looking like, why you always got to catch people when they in their straight phase? Why you always catch people when they in the straight stages? Like, because everybody should get with for some reason. They don't view her as serious and they just want to have fun with her, and it never works out because they actually are straight. And I guess they were just looking for a getaway from the things they've dealt with men. I'm guessing that that's what it is. But y'all, after the situation went down, apparently like she spent the night at this woman's house, and so the woman actually drove her back home, and she gets home and she looking like, oh no, she's gotten evicted. So apparently she has a pattern of not paying her rent on time, to the point of where her landlord was like, what we're not finna do is this, and put all of her stuff out like on the street. Now this is California, and the setup that I've seen in various films, TV shows, even the like little really small shows that I've seen on YouTube that I adore. Like even when Issa Rae started out, when nobody even knew about her, she had like various places that she would go to. I could tell, oh, okay, yeah, this really is California. So I think it's Los Angeles, California. So anyway, she's been evicted, all her stuff out. I'm talking about Jordans and all. The landlord out on her balcony, like drinking her tea, coffee, or whatever it is, and is very much so unbothered. And old girl Hattie is going off like, how dare you, you know what I'm saying, to herself, like, who does this? I was gonna pay my rent tomorrow. And the woman who brought her home was like, why are you paying your rent? Why haven't you been paying your rent? Here you, like, basically this person's been with her long enough to know that she does not pay her rent on time. And I'm like, that's crazy. So she was like, well, so you've hit rock bottom. And so in her mind, she's like, no, I haven't hit rock bottom. So then she kind of asks old girl before she leaves, can I stay with you for, a little while? Can I crash at your place for a little while? So she was like, that requires a relationship. And, what we're not going to do is that, because we're not in a relationship. So then she's like, well, yeah, now I've officially hit rock bottom. So I guess she contacted the best friends, whose names are, let me make sure I give y'all the right names, Marie and Nia. And I'll tell y'all a little bit about, very, very little about them later on, because like I said, a lot of this is surrounding Hattie. Okay, so they end up popping up, they roll up. Y'all, what is the song Nuck If You Buck came on when they rolled up? I don't know why they played that in the background. I don't know, it was crazy. So one of them, I think is it Marie or Nia? Let me look at the picture. One of them is kind of eclectic. And which one is it? I think it's the one that's Nia. Nia is the one who's kind of eclectic, and she's, smart with her money, but she has money or whatever, or at least that's what it seems like in this moment. And the other one, she has a man, and it's kind of on the rocks for whatever reason. And I'm going to give what I kind of think might be going on, but I don't know. It's just a random thought that I threw out there. So anyway, they pull up on her. She's sitting outside in her recliner, one of the many things that have been thrown outside. And they looking at her like, girl, wow, what is going on here? And it just gets to a point where they were just like, this don't make no sense. You need to get your stuff together. She's not even bothered at this point. She was looking like, I'm not really worried about being evicted in this moment because we have somewhere to be. They were going to go and watch an old film on the grass, which is something I've always wanted to do. I've never lived anywhere, or at least when I was, and I think they do stuff like that back home now, but when I was living there, they never did anything where they had events that was like under the stars and all that stuff. Every now and again, I kind of wish that I could do drive-in movies and all that stuff, but they had some kind of event where they were doing old films under the stars late at night. And so she was like, yeah, I'm still going to that. So they end up actually, riding along in whose ever vehicle it was, and they were listening to Whitney Houston song from Waiting to Exhale. And what is it? Is it called Waiting to Exhale or Exhale? So yeah, they were listening to that. They were really into it. That's something that I noticed right away about Hattie. For her to be the type of lesbian or whatever she identifies as, like, I don't know if she identifies as a stud or whatever, like she's really into Whitney Houston and singing. Like she lives for people who really can like blow, like sing down. So I was like, okay, that's interesting, because most of them that I've ever encountered, they try to act like they just all here for the hardest of the hard, Kevin Gates and all that kind of mess. And I'm just like, maybe Project Pat. Dude, give me some Project Pat. See, I like Project Pat and yeah, I like Project Pat, and I like Duke Deuce right about now because he, kind of sampled a Project Pat song. Like, I don't know why I have this thing about Project Pat, but I've always lived for Project Pat. Project Pat has staying power. I don't care what nobody say. People sit up here and ask to use his samples, and like they actually mimic some of the ways that he says certain words when he rap. Like, I don't care. Nobody say Project Pat is everything. I like Project Pat. I like his brother too, but he went mainstream and he do the most. Y'all know his brother's Juicy J. Sorry for going into this little randomness, but yeah, y'all. But I like him. But like I was saying, I kind of figured that she would go into, well, that's a stereotype. So I mean, I'm not really trying to stereotype her. I'm just saying that all the ones that I've ever come across, like they really want to make it seem like they're just so hard and they are into this type of music. Like I don't never see them like live for no Whitney Houston or nothing like she lives for Whitney Houston. She had like something that she traveled overseas and gotten that the woman threw out. I forgot if she said it was from Thailand or somewhere, but she went Tokyo, I think she said. Some vintage stuff. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what in the world? So yeah, y'all. Anyway, they're in the car, and after the music stopped and all that stuff, they were discussing how Hattie needs to get a job, and she does. I think she's one of those people who does little gigs and does whatever she has to do to get by and barely scrapes by, which is why her rent is always late. So, they were telling her, you need to do this and you need to do that, and look. And I was wondering why they were driving and they panned over to a billboard that said My Bay, and I'm like, okay, what is this gonna be about? So eventually they get into letting us know that one of them has connections because apparently the black community, as far as writers and all that stuff goes, is very, very small. So everybody knows one another. And so she really wants to be a writer. And so she was like, oh, well, I forgot you knew her. So there's this big writer, this black woman who is a writer, director, and all this other stuff. And she has like the hit TV show entitled My Bae. And she was like, look, I got your interview with her for you to be her assistant. You need to do what you need to do. You need to compliment her. Basically, kiss up to her and do all these things. Do what you need to do. So they end up actually going to a place for her to get an outfit for the interview. And she keeps going in and out, trying on stuff. And then eventually the two of them, Marie and Nia, have to decide how they're going to pay for said clothes because, yeah, she has no money. So yeah, it's crazy. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, that makes sense because she ain't got no money and she wants to look presentable. So cool. Y'all, they end up going to that movie and they're just having small talk. And I think it was Nia who was asking, you know, is it okay for me to date white men? And there was a random white guy nearby. He kind of looked like, I don't know if it was a look of interest or what, but he kind of looked. And even though they were talking very low while the movie was, you know, obviously playing, people were kind of interested or whatever. They made a point to show him looking. So I was like, okay, y'all doing a lot. But anyway, you could tell that she's kind of about the culture and all that stuff. So I kind of felt like her asking her friends that was kind of like, do you feel like I'm a sellout if I, you know, actually get with a white guy? I don't know. But, you know, she did mention something about that. And it was kind of in reference to the movie as well. And, you know, they just had small talk throughout. And look, old girl was just like, all I know is that you better do what you need to do at this interview and all that. Despite how you feel about the show, because she has a really bad taste in her mouth because of the show. She feels as though this woman has this amazing platform and black love is not represented properly. Y'all, she went to the interview the next day or whenever the interview was. Went to the interview, and I don't know if this was at this woman's house or what, but it was a big, nice house with a big pool. Like it looked like somewhat of an infinity pool, all that stuff. So she had the interview. The woman is gorgeous. I don't know who in the world, y'all, I don't know who this woman is, or do I know who she is? Her name in real life is Safina Brown, and her name on here is Ida B. Now, I feel like I should know who Safina Brown is. Let me check and see if I, you know, actually know who she is. I feel like I should know who she is. Oh, Lord. She was on Law and Order. She was on Numbers. Okay, I was about to say, I feel like I should know who she is. But a lot of that stuff kind of dates back. So, yeah. Apparently, she's going to be in something entitled Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing when it come out, Hallelujah. And you know how, like, it's like a lot of new stuff she going to be out in. Oh, she going to be in, apparently she's been in 911, Cruel Intentions, Screen, the TV show. Like, she's been in a lot of stuff. Like, a lot of these TV dramas, like The Good Wife, NCIS, Los Angeles, Law and Order, LA. Is that LA or I don't know. Y'all know I don't know if it's actually LA or Louisiana. I don't know. I don't even watch none of that no more. One of them is Louisiana. It's probably LA, I guess. I don't know. Brothers and Sisters, Castle, Numbers, like I said earlier. I never saw Shark. Without a Trace, I used to watch that. She's been in the Chappelle Show. Hack, I've never seen. The regular Law and Order, she's been on that as well. She's been on SVU. Like, she's been in a lot of stuff. So I was like, she's gorgeous. I don't know who in the world. She's gorgeous, though. She's gorgeous. So anyway, she's doing the interview with Hattie. And Hattie is, you know, in my opinion, she's giving all the right answers. Y'all, she got hit with the okie doke because you know what happened? The same thing that usually happens nowadays to a lot of people, especially when they think they might actually have their foot in the door. No, things come back to bite you. Hattie was sitting up there on Twitter and whatever platform she was on, dogging the show out. So what happened, y'all, to even lead up to this moment was she asked her, you know, what was her favorite scene from last season. So she said something and she was like, well, that was from first season. She was like, oh, I understand that. But, I just feel like it was just so amazing that it just stuck with me. So she was like, you're lying. And so she goes off and tells her, basically reads back all these terrible tweets that she put up about the show. She said, one of the tweets, she said that the TV show is basically a successful black woman who fell in love with a hotel. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. She was reading and she was like, somebody needs to tell Ida B that this ain't it. And then she said, dear Ida B, this ain't it. And I mean, like, she had various things that she put out there. And she was just like, wow. Ultimately, she was like, kind of like I said what I said, because I feel like because you have this platform that you should be able to tell the story of black love and things about the black culture or whatever in a certain way and not come off in this sellout type of way. Like a lot of people feel like, about Tyler Perry. I'm not going to go there. But anyway, so basically the interview didn't go that well. And yeah, she was seen out. So they ended up later on, one of the friends, I think it was Marie, she allowed her to stay at her home, and her and the boyfriend, fiance, or whatever they are, they live together as well, and they have a spacious home. So the next morning, or that same morning, they were in their bed, minding their business. Why they had to get up and get some cereal was walking by when they were about to try to have sex. Like, they literally were talking while they were trying to have sex. Like, their sex life is almost non-existent. Well, it is non-existent right now because they haven't had sex for 3 months. So she was actually in the middle of trying to convince him to allow Hattie to stay there. And so she did a little move where she, put her hand in a place, and he was like, oh yeah, she can stay here. So he was trying to get the party started, and and she was like, well, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna have to get some lube. And I was just like, girl, like the way she was talking, I was just like, I'm pretty sure the mood is gone, because it's like, why are you just talking like this? Like, it was crazy to me. But anyway, this is when Hattie actually walked by, and like, again, earlier, even before that happened, they zoomed in on Hattie whatever room she was in, and she was like listening to somebody blow. And I feel like I know where it was coming from, but I don't know where. But anyway, like, the person set it off, and she was kind of like singing along with her and like getting her life, because that woman was singing. Whoever that girl was singing, and like she was just watching it on her laptop. Anyway, y'all, so yeah, later on that night, it was actually the birthday of Nia's birthday, and they were, I don't know if they were at Nia's house or wherever they were, but it was her, all of the best friends were there. Marie's man was there. This other guy who I think is a gay coworker was there, or whoever he is. Some random woman was there who Hattie referred to as a random white girlfriend. I was like, oh my gosh, why are you doing this? And yeah, I don't know. But anyway, they were all there at this small table. Why was that table so small? That table was so small. It reminded me of like a picnic table, so to speak, like in the park, the kind that you would have in the park that is like, and I mean, I've seen some in the park that weren't as intrusive. Like, it's just, everybody, to me, everybody was too close up on each other. Who am I? I ain't nobody. But anyway, so y'all, they're celebrating her birthday, which I didn't even know was happening until a fight was about to break out. A verbal fight was breaking out between Marie and Hattie. And for some reason, Hattie hit below the belt and was like, well, why don't you ask your man why y'all haven't had sex in 3 months? I was just like, girl, why is we doing this? So it got to the point where she stood up and told her to get out, and both of them stood up, and she was like, well, I ain't going nowhere. Hattie was like, I ain't going nowhere. And old girl had to be like, this is my party, you ain't going nowhere, y'all need to sit down. So the two men in the room excused themselves to go to the kitchen. So I'm like, okay, is the reason why he ain't into her is because he into this man or into men now? I don't know. But they kind of sat down somewhere and stopped acting a fool long enough for them to bring the cake out. The boyfriend ended up singing to her, which I was not all that enthusiastic about his singing voice. I don't know if he was really trying to sing, but yeah, he sung Happy Birthday to her, and she enjoyed the cake and all that stuff, y'all. And I was just like, okay. So something that I actually neglected to mention because it didn't happen that much, she wasn't in the show that much, was that Kim Whitley is actually playing Hattie's mama. So she called her, well, her mama called her earlier in the show, like right after she got home and realized she'd been evicted. So she answered the phone and made it seem like she was doing all right. And they had small talk about one of her cousins or somebody that got shot in his good leg. Like, y'all, I kind of think that they were kind of doing a play on how a lot of people make it so nonchalant about people getting killed and shot in places like that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I was doing a whole lot in your life. But that happened. And actually, after the party, I think, she ended up going, Hattie is the she that I'm referring to. She actually ended up going over to Ida B's house and apologizing for what she said. And Ida is looking like, girl, I don't understand. Like, if you meant what you said, why are you apologizing? And so she was just like, all right, I'm sorry. I mean, I did mean what I said. And so she was like, you should have stuck with your guns. And so she was like, since I did come and fess up that, I said what I said and I'm sorry and all that, will I still be able to get the assistant job? And so she was just like, nah, I gave it to what she said, some perky white girl. And so she was like, dang. But she ended up giving her a PA writing job. And so she was like, oh, okay. So that means I'll be getting significantly less than what I would have been getting and work longer hours. And so she was like, yeah. So she was like, oh, I'll take it. So she did that. And I don't know if I'm reading too far into this yet again, y'all. I don't know if her soulmate is going to actually end up being this woman. Because come to find out, My Bae was a show that was near and dear to her. And because it actually was based off of a relationship that she had with somebody. And she was just like, that was about us. And even though we didn't work out, I wanted to be able to put it out there. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But y'all, tell me why old girl parted ways. She went to her car and she called her mama and was like, how you doing? And she was like, well, you know how I'm doing. You talked to me yesterday. You know I'm fine. I'm confused, y'all. Y'all help me understand if you've seen this show. Kim Whitley's character, like I said, which is Hattie's mama, she was in the house and she had cards in front of her like she was playing a game. So she's talking to her and she was, she actually told her that she had gotten a job. She was like, oh, did you get that job on Power? Oh, you need to write for that show. Oh my gosh. And so she was like, no. And she told her all what happened with that. And then it got to a point where she was like, well, I got to go out. A lot of people over here, because she made it seem like she playing a game. And I'm like, I don't see nobody. Is her mama all right? Or is this a Tyler Perry situation with the people eating air and drinking air and stuff that don't make sense going on? Because I don't understand. Anyway, she eventually gets off the phone with her mama and she tries to crank her car up, y'all. I think the battery died on her or the ignition switch messed up. One of the two happened, because I've heard that before on one of my ex's cars and that ain't no joke. I think that the battery died, or it's a combination. Some of them, in all honesty, some of those cars, when one go out, the other one went out too, because it's connected. I've seen that to happen before. So I don't know if it was the battery and the ignition switch, but yeah, something went out. And when the show went off, they ended up actually playing her walking away from her car, going ahead and getting them legs to working, because she was going to have to literally kick rocks and get to going where she was going to go, because she ain't got no money for no Uber. She ain't got no money for nobody. It's late at night. And I'm guessing that she's like, well, I didn't ask my friends for too much as it is. Let me walk. So they end up playing that song, Hopeless. What is it? They say I'm hopeless as a penny with a hole in it. They ended up playing that song. It's a really beautiful song. I hadn't heard that in a while. But anyway, so far so good. I will be back a little bit later on, hopefully within an hour or two max, with the second episode review. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Y'all let me know down in the comments if you have watched this, if you plan on watching it, and what you thought about this review. I appreciate all the love. Y'all are so sweet to me. Continue to keep myself and my family in your prayers. I will talk to y'all later on. Happy Sunday. Bye.